Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay. Going to read through pretty much the full article here. It's absolutely tragic. There's a link in the description. I'll start off with the headline. Minnesota mom who said she cut her 3-month-old son across the throat and threw his body in a dumpster isn't competent to stand trial, according to a judge. So a judge has declared that this woman is too insane, frankly. That's my term, not the judge's term, to stand trial. But she has admitted, sorry, I should have said a trigger warning, but she has admitted to slitting the throat of her 3-month-old son and then putting the body in a black plastic bag, subsequently dumping that body. She called her mother to tell her what she'd done. Police came round and found the body. So that's pretty much in a nutshell what's happened. The judge has declared that she is not fit to stand trial, not mentally competent. So we're going to have a look through the full details here. A Minnesota mother who allegedly told the authorities that she slit the throat of a 3-month-old baby and threw his body into a dumpster after the infant's father denied. The father denied that he was the father. And this woman, her name is Fardusa Omar Abdullahi, I may have that wrong, has been ruled incompetent to stand trial by a district court judge. According to a statement of probable cause, officers with the St. Cloud Police Department arrested Fardusa Omar Abdullahi, 27 years of age, after a 911 caller tipped them off that the defendant's baby was dead. The male caller said a baby was missing and that the baby's mother had told him that she had thrown the baby in the dumpster. The caller learned of the situation because the defendant had called her mother, who lives out of state, in the early morning hours of November the 28th, and reported the same. The mother appears to have tipped off others who went to the defendant's apartment to see what was wrong. Responding witnesses were acquainted with the defendant and were told that she claimed to have killed the child and put him in the dumpster behind the apartment. The man who called 911, as well as other witnesses, went to look for the child but could not locate him. Witnesses were unsure at the time if the defendant was being truthful and called the police when they couldn't find the baby. The witnesses said, "We went to help and found the defendant crying and alone in her apartment." The defendant repeatedly stated that she had killed her baby and thrown him away. The baby boy was a little less than 4 months old. The defendant lived alone with the victim in an apartment. So it does give us some details of how one of the officers found the body. So I will read through this, so trigger warnings. Officers arrived on scene and spoke to the defendant. Officers observed children's furniture in the residence, but no child present. Officers asked the defendant where the child was located. The defendant stated that the child was in the dumpster behind the building. As officers were searching the dumpster, the defendant stated that she stabbed the child and put him in a black plastic garbage bag before putting him in the dumpster. At the same time, officers located the deceased body of the child within the dumpster. The defendant was placed under arrest and the scene was preserved. So the defendant was read her Miranda rights. She agreed to talk. She told her interrogators that she had suffered from headaches and feelings of worry and fear after the birth of the baby, and that the father, the boy's father, had been denying that the baby was his. And I think the insinuation is that that denial from the father put a significant mental strain on the defendant, the mother of the 3-month-old. So we go into a little bit more information here. Again, a trigger warning. The defendant stated she was looking at the child, wondering how she was going to get help. The defendant admitted she stabbed the child with a knife from the kitchen. The defendant stated that the child was crying prior to her stabbing him. The defendant demonstrated that she cut the child across the throat. The defendant stated she put the child into a black bag with baby clothes and put the bag into a trash bin in her apartment. The defendant stated she brought the bag out to the dumpster about 5 minutes after she had stabbed the child. The defendant stated she called her mother about 20 minutes later and told her mother what she had done. So that's what's happened. So the defendant was booked in on November the 28th, 2021. And she has a $2 million bail has been set. An autopsy revealed that the baby suffered a circumferential sharp force injury to the neck. The probable cause statement revealed. The manner of death was ruled homicide. According to subsequent court records, prosecutors secured an indictment against the mother, Abdullahi, for first-degree premeditated murder and second-degree intentional murder. That indictment is dated December 22nd, 2021. The penalty for premeditated murder is life imprisonment. After a few months of legal wrangling and a mental health assessment, a judge has ruled that Abdullahi is not competent to stand trial right now. A subsequent document indicates that the defendant has been committed by judicial order to an inpatient mental treatment facility. So there we go. So an absolute tragedy. The mother, the murderer, and the defendant, she's admitted to having killed the boy, her own son. She's been committed to a mental institution after having a mental health evaluation. So, pardon my French, I mean, she's completely, utterly insane. Apologies for the heinousness of this situation, but she literally cut her 3-month-old son across the throat. She's admitted to it. That's what the medical examiners have confirmed. And then she dumped the boy in a in the bin, in a black plastic garbage bag. So there we go. So what an absolute tragedy. Of course, condolences to the extended family. I mean, one aspect to this, and maybe it's wrong of me to repeat it, but one aspect is the father was denying that he was the father. Maybe he was right, maybe he was wrong, who knows, but seemingly that's part of the reason why the mother was under such immense mental strain. I don't wish to blame the father for this incident, but I think it's something worth noting. Look, I'm no expert at any of these matters. Again, as with the case with Natalie Steele, I'm finding this difficult to be overly judgmental towards the mother, towards the defendant, even though she has admitted to killing her child. We can say murdered her child, even though she's admitted to that. Clearly, she's absolutely mentally insane. So does that mean she should get a lighter sentence? No, I wouldn't suggest that. But I don't know. Like, my judgment is she evil? I mean, she committed an evil act. Absolutely. I guess I feel a little bit of empathy towards the mother. I guess that's how I feel. I'd be interested in knowing how you feel, or how you feel about how I've expressed my feelings on this subject. But it is obviously a disgusting, heinous tragedy, and she is responsible. But I guess there's an argument for impaired or reduced responsibility in the case of absolute insanity. And I can only think that killing your own 3-month-old child, slitting their throat, I mean, that has to be an act of absolute insanity.